Hi, everybody. It's another episode of Doc's Daily, and how about a Friday episode? So we've got Friday, January 31st. I almost said December. January 31st. Where has a month of 2025 already passed us? And we're 8 days to the Super Bowl? 8 days, eight more days, I guess. 8 betting days to the Super Bowl. So super exciting week ahead, but let's make money today. And I got the college basketball legend. How we doing, Robert?
Not too bad, Craig. How about yourself?
It's a good day yesterday. 4-0 with the premium plays, 2-0 with the 2-1 with the free picks. Unfortunately, the Doc's Daily stuff yesterday, Griffin and Nick, they were preoccupied. They were in Vegas. They were like headed out last night. So I think they were. We're gonna blame the losers on that. That was what was doing it. Because before that, when they were in Chicago, we had a huge winning day. Not a big card today. It's like Fridays are always hit or miss. Obviously, college basketball, it used to be Ivy League day. Now we do at least get a few betting extra, like Indiana plays in the Big Ten tonight. And then we've got Dayton and St. Louis. So two relatively good games tonight in college hoops that you don't just have to bet the Ivy League. And then a big card in the NBA and the NHL, and we're going to have all of it for you. Before I get to it, don't forget, take advantage of that free $60 account. If you're a new customer, go here, docsports.com/free60. You get $60. You can use it on the individual plays, either one of us or any of the experts over there. You can even use it towards, if you want to base a 3-day, a weekend pass on an individual sport, or a week pass if you just want to pay the difference. I think the week pass, it's $99 per sport, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so $39 will get you. So say you want the king of college basketball, Robert's week pass, it would cost you $39 to get a week of plays, which you're getting like 30 plays. So it's like basically $1 a play. So make sure you check that out. Use that free 60. If you're an existing customer, of course, can't get the free 60, but you can still get in on the grid and get our best plays today. Today, I have a 7-unit play in the NBA, been red hot, 11-4 run. NHL is on a 6-0 top play run, have a 6-unit there. What do you have tonight? You have any big plays?
No, nada tonight. Nope. I got a few small NBA plays. Unfortunately, I missed with Memphis last night. They had lost their first 3 games to Houston. They got that rivalry going. Dylan Brooks coming home. I was expecting a little bit better effort out of Memphis last night. Unfortunately, they fell behind. And then the dreaded win but no cover. They won by 1 point. So I lost there. So, this is also where I do my little PSA where I'm like, remember, even though it's a small card in college and some of these other sports, don't force anything, man. Sometimes the best bets are the ones you don't make. You can have a huge college basketball card on Saturday. So, let's take that long-term perspective.
And just because, sometimes you can get 3 smaller unit plays that equal basically 1 play. So just because we don't have one always 8 unit, 7 unit, 6 unit play, 3 small ones, if you win, you go 3-0. They're the same as winning a 6 or 7 unit.
Reached out to a bunch of my clients yesterday and a bunch of Doc's clients saying that. It's like, look, we know everybody loves the big plays, right? Those are the splashy, flashy ones. But if you're not playing the day-to-day plays with some of these handicappers that are really hot and doing really well, you're missing a lot. You're missing a lot of winners. I had a day earlier this week. I think it was Tuesday in college basketball. I actually missed my 7-unit play, but I won pretty much everything else and still had a plus 300 day. So it's like, don't just get locked into those big plays. Trust the process. Trust the process.
And part of the unit process is that tells you how strong we feel about a game. But it also, there's some strategy behind this that, if you have 3 unit plays and a 5-unit play, you lose the 5-unit play, you win all the other ones, you still have a profitable day. And that's the name of the game. It isn't just wins and losses. You can't take that to your bank and say, hey, I went 12-4 this week, but you actually lost because the big one's a loss. Just versely, if you went 8-8, but you win the best play. So make sure you're playing by the units. The units are very important, and the strategy behind that's somewhat what you pay for when you're using an expert. Is that helps take that, how do I bet these games? That's always kind of the question people, send us.
I know my style is different than a lot of people in the industry. I know it confounds a lot of people. I'm a high volume player. There is a chance that I may have 20 games on the card tomorrow in college basketball. It's been done before. I haven't fully dove into it, but I'm a big believer. I play more plays for lower unit ratings because I can hit a smaller percentage of plays and make more profit. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. To your point, it's not about, oh, I'm picking 60% winners. No, there's only one number that matters, and that's the amount of money that you have won.
Profits.
So it always drives me nuts when people are like, oh, what's your betting percentage? What's your winning percentage? Like, I don't know. I don't care. Like, this is how much I'm up in this sport. That's the only money. That's the only number that matters.
Yeah, see, like, like they say two people can do something differently and get to the same end. Like you're more of a high volume. I'm more of a low volume. I like to play a little higher, on my top plays and then a lower on, maybe my less plays. Usually I have like a 5, 6, or 7 unit every day and then 3 or 4, 2, 3, or 4. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you like the higher volume. We have the handicappers for you. If you like just like a single play, we've got guys that do that as well. And if you have questions, you can always send an email. I think it's service@docsports.com. And so if you don't know like which capper gives out what, if you want a higher volume or a low volume, or you want a lot of NHL or soccer, message them. They'll point you in the right direction. So that way you get somebody that kind of fits your your comfort level. You like to fire a lot or you like to fire a little. You like to bet more hockey, soccer, whatever, like obviously all of us kind of play college basketball, NBA, NHL. But if you like, you like UFC, we've got you guys that are big UFC guys. So make sure if you have questions, you can find a lot of that information just at your account when you log in. But if you have questions, service@docsports.com. All right, let's get right to it. NBA today. That's where the big card is today. We'll get to college basketball next. But what do you like first, Robert, as a free play here?
Well, the first game that jumped out at me was the New Orleans-Boston game. Last night, the overnight line was 11. The total was around 231.5. I kind of like the Pelicans in this spot. I think that that's too many points. And even though the majority of the action is on the Celtics, that's obviously the public side. The number's starting to come down. I'm seeing 10.5. I'm seeing 10. These two teams played just a few weeks ago, and New Orleans only lost by 1 point at Boston on January 12th. I also think this is kind of a tricky spot for the Celtics. They went out west for 4 games and spent about 8 days on the West Coast, played some high-profile games. They come home for just 2 games, one of which was a loss to Houston, and now they're going back on the road. They have some bigger games coming up on deck against Philadelphia and Cleveland. I just don't know if they're going to max out here against the Pelicans. And for as bad as New Orleans has been, they've really only been blown out twice since Christmas, and out of their last 10 games, only one of them was a loss by 12 or more points. So they are losing games, but again, they're losing games in that 6 to 9 point range, not that 14 to 20 point game. So Boston's tough. I know it can be scary to bet against them, but remember also, I think that this team is 14-26 against the spread in their last 40 games. They started the season like 5-3 against the number, but since then, they've been a pure fade. So I think New Orleans finds a way to hang around.
I actually think New Orleans can win this game. When they have their full complement of players, which they should tonight, it sounds like, which you never know with them. Zion could be like, everything's going, and then like he warms up and then his toe hurts and he doesn't play. But when they have their full complement, they are very tough. Now, I don't know how much longer we're going to have that because it sounds like pretty much everybody's available at the right price for New Orleans. But Boston's a team, like you said, they shoot so many threes. It obviously worked. They won a championship. They proved it. Also, Golden State's proved it. You can win a championship by shooting all threes. But on an individual game in, game out, you have just a bad quarter. You're not covering this kind of number. Now, conversely, obviously, if they have a good quarter, they can be up 25 in a quarter because that's just the kind of shooting they have. But on the road, I think you have to fade them here. They're a team they've lost to some bad teams even at home this year. It's not like the Boston Celtics of last year where they were amazing, even at double digits last year. That's not the case this year. I think people still remember last year, and they haven't really, maybe because of football's, just ending and like not everybody follows every day in the NBA. So I like that one. Now I got a free play for you. Bucks and Spurs here. This is a Bucks team that I have in my top 3 in the power rankings. I really feel like they're coming into their own. Now, they're one of those teams they don't have a lot of depth. They were in a back-to-back and absolutely blown out to a Portland team that's playing really well. I think they've covered maybe 6 or 7 games in a row now. Won outright again last night. So don't poo-poo that game too much. But they were out of steam back-to-back. Now they got some rest. This is San Antonio team. Since coming back from that Paris trip, they had that game 1 in Paris looked amazing. Game 2, not so good. Since coming back, I think that has affected them a little bit. And I like the Bucks here. Small number, Bucks -2. Now, the one worry here, 70% of the tickets are on Milwaukee Bucks. So a public road favorite is not something I like. It's not going to be one of my best plays, obviously. But as a free play, I'm still going to stay with it. But buyer beware a little bit. I always say anytime you see 60% or above, like that is when you start to slow down because, Vegas doesn't get rich losing on these huge public favorites. So, but Bucks are going to be a small play for me. Rob, you have another free one you like here in the NBA, right?
Yeah, another game that jumped out at me was Golden State against Phoenix. So we have Kevin Durant obviously coming back to town. That's always going to get the blood flowing for the home team. But for me, Golden State has been erratic. They frankly weren't very good for about a month. They're still missing some of their big men, so they don't have their full complement of players. However, they are capable of jumping up and biting some teams, and I think that's what's going to happen here. Now, if we look at Phoenix on the surface, they've won 7 out of 10, right? So you say, okay, maybe things are starting to click. Maybe they got that chemistry figured out. But go and look at who they've played. Like, they've been beating up on the dregs here, like the Charlottes and the Utahs and the Washington. And I know Detroit's not bad, but they're not exactly a good team. Like, the Suns are 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 games, but they're only 3-7 against the number. So they're beating bad teams, and they're not doing it convincingly. Any of the good teams that they have played recently, the Clevelands, Minnesotas, Atlanta, they've lost to. They barely beat the Clippers at home by 1 or 2 points. Golden State's won 3 out of 4, so maybe they're on a little bit of an upswing. They won their last matchup with Phoenix by 4 points. I like the underdog home value here. The home team in this series is 8-2 in the last 10 for you trend bettors out there. I think that that's something that, 8-2 that at least bears consideration here. So, no, I'll take the points. I feel like it's going a little bit against the public and kind of the narratives around these two teams right now. And I think that this is a game that Golden State shows up for.
The big question, I think, with the Phoenix, maybe even Golden State a little bit. We're a week out to the trade deadline. And obviously the news, Jimmy Butler wants to go to Phoenix. Phoenix wants him. Gross. How do you get him there without Bradley Beal? He has a no-trade clause, and he's, I guess, unwilling to waive it pretty much to go just a few places, and Miami isn't one of them, it sounds like. So
he should go to Miami. That'd be a great spot for this guy to revitalize his career. He's
not doing well there, so I don't know what he wants to stay.
Miami organization has been for the last 10 or 15 years. If I'm Bradley Beal, I would want that fresh start. That's they have a good young core. Like, they have a great coaching staff. You're going nowhere in Phoenix, and Jimmy Butler isn't the solution to any of the problems that are going on in Phoenix. Sorry to jump in there, but
that's the worry for me with Phoenix, because you just don't know. It just looks like when they play and you watch the interaction between players, like, it's not like they're having a great time right now. And yes, they did get the win this week. Actually beat me. I had the Clippers against them. They did beat the Clippers. That's their one really good win of their last basically 2 weeks. Like you said, beat a lot of bad teams. The Warriors just come off they let SGA go for 52 and still beat them. So that's a very good Oklahoma City team. In fact, they're 1-2 in probably everybody's power rankings right now as far as teams to beat in the NBA, definitely for the title. And that was Golden State's back-to-back spot. Now, Steph rested the first of those 2 games. So even though they did win, I believe it was Utah. But I like the Suns here. I'm actually thinking the under. I like the Warriors here, I'm sorry. And I actually think the under is a good play in this one as well. A lot of bets, almost 68%, I believe, when I looked right before the show, on the over. And these late games, it's the last game on the board in the NBA. And the public bettors come out. They love the overs. I think a lot of them are going to be on the over in this one. And I actually think when Golden State's at their best, even when they were winning the championships, it was the defense that really set them apart. Obviously, the great shooting. You can't take that away from the Splash Brothers. But when they could lock down and go with the death lineup, and they're going a lot smaller lately, a lot smaller, I think they'll do that and that match up well against Phoenix. So I like the under in this one as well.
Yeah, to your point, like I said, the last game that they played last month between these two teams was 109, 105. Yep. So we have a total that's creeping up in that 230 range. It's like 228.5 right now. Yeah. And, they came short of that by 14 points. So you might be onto something there.
It's like because you think you have all these Hall of Fame type players that it's like, and graded, but they're all old. It's like these guys aren't, when you're 37, 38 years old, you're not out there being able to push those minutes like they could earlier in their career. And, they're protecting them. Like Warriors are on maintenance for Steph Curry. Suns are on the maintenance for, Durant, because winning this game, it's important. Every game in the West is going to be important, especially look at the rankings, how close everybody is. But it's not like you're going to kill one of these guys and run them into the ground to get this win.
And that's the thing with the kind of emotional intensity that is underlying in a game like this, guys are going to bring it on the defensive end, right? Like when you get these games, to your point, it's an important game. It's a key game. It's a game that everybody's going to max out in. Guys max out on the defensive end. You never need an offensive player, or you never need a basketball player to max out on the offensive end. Yeah. They always have energy for the offensive game. But
that's how they get paid.
Right, exactly. Like everybody's even playing rec ball, right? Like you might be suck and win. When you're suck and win, you're fine on offense. When your team has the ball, you have a little bit of energy. You give up on the defensive end. But when you really are going to push yourself, that means that you're going to give a little bit more intensity on the defensive end. And that's what I think we might see tonight in this one.
All right, let's go to college basketball. Not the biggest card, but I do like what we've seen lately in college basketball where we start to sprinkle in a couple key games. What's your free play for college hoops on Friday?
Well, I was on earlier this week, and I gave out St. Louis as a home underdog against VCU, and they won that game convincingly. So I'm going back to the well. I like St. Louis here over Dayton. The public is piling on Dayton, but it's almost a carbon copy of that VCU game. Dayton has only played, we are almost into February. Okay, tomorrow is February 1st. Dayton has played 4 true road games. That's it. 4 times they've been in somebody else's gym. They have lost 3 of those road games, and 2 of them were absolute blowouts. They lost to George Washington. They got beat by 20. Not a bad George Washington team. Same thing. Shoot a lot of threes or whatever. But Dayton lose by 20 to GW. That raises some eyebrows. They lost at UMass. UMass is just a really bad team, and they got bombed by St. Bonaventure. St. Louis had that big win over VCU. New coach, new players. I feel like we're catching them in a little bit of an upswing. I do think that the momentum from that VCU win will carry into this game. They just feel like lightning in a bottle this week. We'll worry about the letdown with them when they go on the road next week. But for right now, I think that this is a spot to really just max out on them. They have only lost in their home gym 1 time this year. That was back on December 18th against a decent Wofford team. So St. Louis, I like them. I just don't think this Dayton team is as good as what we have seen from the Flyers the last 3 or 4 years. I thought last year they were one of the nation's big overachievers at the mid-major level. So I feel like they're kind of coming back to earth here. So let's just stay hot. St. Louis did it for me on this show earlier this week. Let's go right back to them here.
I mean, Anthony Grant's done a great job at Dayton. I mean, one of the great gyms. I mean, living in Cincinnati and being a Cincinnati fan my whole life, Dayton used to be one of our rivals. We did play them earlier this year at a neutral site in Cincinnati, and they gave Cincinnati all they could handle. This is a Dayton team that fights hard, and at home they can beat anybody. We already saw that. They beat Marquette this year, and Marquette, I believe, is a for real top
Northwestern too. Pretty good Northwestern team. They beat them out too.
But it's like when they get away from home, there's a reason why those 8 tournament games, the play-in games, are in Dayton. Some of the greatest college basketball fans, there's no pro teams in town. So it's like they really fall in love with their teams and support. They'll go out to any high school basketball is held there, the championship games, a lot of them for the state. So I like Dayton at home, but you fade them on the road. Just a good spot here for St. Louis. And, St. Louis could sneaky have one of those runs here. You kind of look what they have ahead of them. You win 4 or 5 in a row in this conference, you're going to end up being one of the 1 or 2 seeds which you need to be in the A10 tournament, because it's always brutal come tournament time to win that conference tournament, which is you need an automatic bid for if you're St. Louis to get in this year. All right, I got a little free play for you. Earlier this week, I watched that Butler game. I also watched the Georgetown. Both of these teams are, scratch your head bad. Like, it's I think they've won one game, right? Butler in the last 10. Yet almost every game, they're right there to win the game. And they just fall apart for a few minutes. It was like in the middle of that second half where they were up like 6 or 7 and a half, and then just fell apart for 10 minutes and couldn't score. I mean, and I think this has always been the knock on Thad Matta is that, like he just can't like get him over the top. I think that's why he got let go at Ohio State. And now he's back at Butler where he had a lot of success. I'm fading him here. I'm taking Georgetown. I know Georgetown hasn't been that much better, but at home, I think it's 3.5, depending on where you're looking at it right now. I don't know what's wrong with Butler. I don't know why they have these lulls. They don't play a lot of players. I think that's part of it is they really only go 7 deep, and they just have these lulls every game, and we've seen this. And I can't back a team that's playing this poorly at spells of the game, especially on the road. I don't know if there's team chemistry problems or what, but I'm fading Butler until they fix it. I'm taking Georgetown minus 3.5, and kind of hold your nose because Georgetown hasn't been a ton better since league play started.
Yeah, but when they have played well at home, they've played really well at home. Like when they beat,
got some nice wins.
Yeah, they blew out Creighton at home. Like when they played well at home. And to your point about Butler, yeah, at a certain point, like exhaustion's got to set in, right? Like I had a play earlier this week with Georgia over South Carolina at home. It was a 7.5 point number. I think it was a 4-unit play, bigger play earlier in the week. And my reasoning was, look, South Carolina has played a ton of close games. They've had a lot of heartbreak lately. Now they're going on the road. Eventually that emotional dam is going to burst, right? And I think we might be at that point with Butler. Like you said, that was a game that I thought going into halftime, coming out of the second half, I thought they might win this game outright. They're 7-point home underdogs. It was going exactly the way that I thought. Then they threw up on themselves. Terrible beat at the end. I should have taken a push on that game. And those that bet late and got the 7.5, but I think they gave up a basket with like 3 seconds left or something like that to lose by 9. So a little bit of a misleading final with them, but I like where your head's at. I think Georgetown is due to kind of turn things around, and they'll feed off that home crowd.
And the Big East, home court advantage in the Big East is, 3 points is what, we always say as a handicapper and as odds makers out there, they say 3 points is what you're getting. I think the Big East is more like 3.5 or 4. It's just these home teams, they're tough places to play. Most of these teams don't have football. And so, or if they do, they're lower division. So this is like where all the, the alumni spend their money. And, it's like they're not – St. John's is for real, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
UConn, I still think when healthy, they're going to be fine. I think Marquette's for real. After that, there's this huge group that they're – other than maybe DePaul, even though they finally broke that spell. Like a lot of them are very close, especially at home. It's like I'm always leaning to the Big East home teams.
Yeah, Villanova and Xavier are 2 teams. They can beat anybody on any given night. And to your point about Connecticut, really interested in that game at Marquette tomorrow. I think that number is going to come out high. I think it's going to be around 7.5. But Liam McNeely was the freshman shooter that they had that's missed the last 7 games with a high ankle sprain. He was a game-time decision against DePaul. They didn't play him. Going to be interesting if they bring him back and what that's going to do to the number. Right? He's a really talented player, but he is a freshman. He hasn't played in a month. Is he going to be sharp? Is it going to be one of those things where that Marquette number comes out maybe in a little seemingly high at 7.5? McNeely gets announced that he's going to play. Maybe that pulls some action Connecticut's way and brings that number down to like 5.5, 6. If it does, I really think I might have to jump on Marquette yet because Connecticut, it's just not there right now with these guys.
I still feel like at their best, when healthy, UConn's going to be a threat this year. Like, Hurley has a little magic going, and that belief.
Oh, he's the best coach in the sport. He's the best coach in the sport. Didn't you hear? Even he said it.
I mean, he believes that. I'm not sure. I mean, he is definitely one of the top 3. I mean, you don't win back-to-back championships being lucky. But I think that magic that those players that are, there's not a ton of leftover from those championships, but there's enough talent there. But I think Marquette, this is a show-me game for Marquette. Like, because they feel like if they win this game, that confidence – for rest of the year, like, hey, not only can we win the Big East, which is important, we can win it all. If we beat this UConn team, like we can win it all. and it's a wide open team. I think if it's in that 6 number, I'm all over Marquette this weekend.
That's the thing. I don't think it's going to be. I
6.5.
think it's going to come up around that 7.5, where it's going to be a little tricky. But McNeely's the X factor, and something about UConn. Not to deep dive into this too much, but it goes back to what we were talking about with the Celtics, right? Is that, and you see this in all sports, when teams win championships, right, or back-to-back championships, and then they come back that next year, the regular season just stops meaning really anything to it. We saw it with the Chiefs this year, right? It's like, call me when the playoffs come. Connecticut's another one of those teams. They're like, okay, we're going to make the NCAA tournament, then we'll kick it into gear. After you've won back-to-back national championships, it really is hard to get up for like a midweek game at home against DePaul or against Xavier or something like that. Just like with the Celtics, that's why they've been so bad against the number. They're just not getting up for a Tuesday night game against the Pistons. They're just not. So the value is always going against these teams that have been to the mountaintop and are now just kind of slogging through the regular season.
All right, let's look at NHL real quick. We just have a few minutes left here. Anything you like in the NHL for tonight?
No, not really. Short card. I'm really pissed off at myself, though. I had Winnipeg yesterday, -1.5 at Boston. They were getting like +185 on it. Should have been a much bigger play, but I wussed out. It was only like a 1 or 2 unit play. I had won a 7 unit the night before, and I wanted to come back far, and that would have been a massive score. They won 6-2. So I think my anger over not capitalizing on that spilled over today. I was just like, screw it, I'm passing today.
All right, just so I do have a 5-unit play. I'm going to go for 7 in a row tonight in the NHL, but I got a little free play for you. This Dallas team, I think, is for real, and the number's only -165 here. I don't like, that's kind of right at my where I draw the line. To get a little better value, let's play. You can get it basically even money if you play the 3-way line. If you don't know what that is, that means it's like you're playing soccer. So you have to win in regulation. So you can actually bet the ties. But by doing that, if it goes to overtime, you actually lose, even if they win in overtime. So let's play regulation. Dallas -105, -108. I see it out there. So make sure you kind of shop that line around. But I think Dallas is better than even what their record suggests. And I think they should be way bigger favorites here. So I think there's a little value here. I'm guessing at this number, they might be going with backup goalie. I always see when the numbers like that maybe, that it's not out yet when we're doing this, if they're going to go officially with the goalie, but backup. But I still like them either way. I think at home, they've been pretty good this year. Let's take Dallas on the 3-way. Three-way going. All right. Let's just do a quick recap. Don't forget, go over, get your free $60 account, docsports.com/free60. That's for all new users. If you've already taken advantage of that, don't worry. You can still go log in at the grid there, and you can get in on all of the top plays for today, or you can buy the sport passes like you get on. Robert is known through all of our experts, probably one of our top, if not the top college basketball guy the last few years. So you can get in his week pass, $99. That's all it is. Week pass. We're probably getting what? You're giving out probably 50 plays in a week. No more than that, right?
At least I would say that's a fair number. Depends on what I do on a Saturday, but yeah, you're getting a lot of value there.
Like $2 a play, and that comes with ratings and write-ups. So if you haven't checked all of our guys, it's not you just giving out a play. We're giving you the ratings, how you're supposed to bet them. So make sure you check that out. And then of course like and subscribe this. And it's every day at 1:00 Monday through Friday. So we'll be back on Monday. Believe Griffin and Nick will be back in Chicago. I think they hit it back late last night, so they'll be back with me on Monday. So, Robert, thanks for joining us. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button. Put in the comments if you have any questions or concerns, or if you have problems or questions, service@docsports.com. Any questions on any of our experts, they can help you out. All right, guys, have a great day.